Certainly hope that we're going to talk more than about elections today, because I sat here today to talk about my policies.
Well, we've been talking about a whole bunch of other things besides elections, but since you brought up,
I find it funny
since you brought up, I didn't ask about 2020. I just asked.
I do find it funny that the media thinks I'm only talking about elections. I'm talking about a lot of things.
But let's be completely clear. You actually brought it up, not me. I asked you about the rules and about early voting and if you would change the rules. I didn't ask you about 2020.
And I want to
you brought it
explain
up.
to you why mail-in ballots can be fraught with error.
But just to be clear, the Republicans on the Board of Supervisors, the Republican governor, now the Republican candidate for Senate running along with you, the Republican Attorney General under Donald Trump, Bill Barr, all said that there wasn't, that the election was not stolen.
Are we going to sit and litigate this?
No,
I'm happy to do it.
I'm just wondering why they would all.
Gubernatorial candidate for up out in Arizona, Kari Lake, was getting to her second confrontational interview, this time with Jonathan Karl from ABC, and I think she jumped the gun there. This is pre-planned things. It looks like she was supposed to hit, which was, you guys keep bringing up this election fraud. I'm not talking about election fraud. Well, you brought it up a little too soon, as Jonathan Karl pointed out. He goes, I wasn't talking about it until you brought it up. But now that we're on this conversation, what do you think about it? Because as we could probably predict, in case she does lose, she definitely wants to point out that it's election fraud. But he had to ask her, well, would you accept it if you do lose? Now you have to say it beforehand and see if she sticks to it. Let's watch more.
Why it is that you have not said, or maybe you'll do it now, you have not said that you will accept the certified results of this election even if you lose this election.
I will accept the results of this election if we have a fair, honest, and transparent election. Absolutely, 100%.
So if you were to lose and you're ahead, but if you were to lose and you went out and you had all your appeals, they went through.
As long as it's fair, honest, and transparent.
It's certified. I mean, who's going to determine that? Are you going to determine that, or if it's
like
certified?
My opponent might have to determine that.
Well, she is the Secretary.
That's an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
Jessica, have you seen her answer a question yet? Because it seems pretty interesting that my opponent would have to be the one to do it. Why is it interesting? Ask those next questions, Jonathan, please. Why is it interesting? What do you think she's gonna do? What basis do you have to believe that she's gonna do those things that you keep saying she's gonna do?
Kari Lake is such a political opportunist. It's really interesting when you dig into her history in Arizona as a newscaster. She was one of those people that just wanted more and more attention. There was kind of a friendly competition in the workplace as to who could get the most views on social media to bring more attention to the news station. And she became obsessed with getting as many views as possible. And this is why someone who liked Obama, donated to his campaign, ends up going with Donald Trump, because she realized this was what was getting views. She's not someone who genuinely believes that we have difficulty having clear and fair elections or free and fair elections in this country. She is someone who is tacking on to Trump's base and what they're afraid of, and doing it to gain more popularity and support because she sees that Trump has a big base in Arizona. It's really clear what she's doing here. And of course, if she wins, she's going to say, you know what, we fought for a fair election, we fought the election fraud. But if she loses, she's going to raise a bunch of doubt.
Well, if she loses and says it was a problem, then I think we can make that next conclusion. You failed to stop this election fraud. Why can we trust you then, Kari? We need someone who's gonna stand up for our election system. So if she does lose and claims that it was fraudulent, that means she failed double time. Shouldn't the people that support her also not like that she failed to protect their vote? I don't think she's very trustworthy. Here's more to point out why she's not trustworthy in another way, because Jonathan Karl, fact checker on this as well, brought up another one of her previous claims. Think about this, 740,000 voters that she'd like to get rid of. Let's watch more.
You said something last week. You said that there were 740,000 ballots with no chain of custody. Those ballots shouldn't have been counted. Are you really saying you would throw out the ballots of 740,000, no, 750,000 Arizonans? I mean, those were
740,000 ballots violated chain of custody requirements in Maricopa County.
I mean, first of all, it's not true. I mean, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors put out a 98-page report that went through these allegations.
That is a fact. Check your facts.
We took that claim to Maricopa County officials, who refuted Lake and pointed to the statement they issued back in May, saying that the county always had control of the ballots, adding they, quote, were sealed in envelopes and secured in boxes that bipartisan couriers are prohibited from opening.
So when you see something like that get fact checked to that degree, directly after she said it, and then they show the facts behind it, the only people that are left to believe her are the ones that don't want to listen to it, because now you have to reevaluate your approach. That's why you have, that's why they make sure they galvanize the support from people in ways that have nothing to do with them telling the truth or their principles or their agenda. It's based on this identity. You have to be a Republican, this kind of Republican, and this kind of Republican who hates this kind of person. So if that kind of person has exposed me as a complete fraud and a liar, you can't believe them, you hate them, remember? That's how this whole thing works, Jess.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about policy, talk about election policy. If you think we can improve our electoral process in this country, tell us your plan for that. What policies do you propose, Kari Lake? Instead, she wants to make this about election fraud. She wants to foment some kind of fear that the election's not going to go well, and that people have something to worry about their ballots being cast in past elections. And it's because these people don't care about policy. They don't care about the working people who are struggling to make ends meet in Arizona. She doesn't actually have policy solutions for real problems, so she has to talk about other things. And those other things, she doesn't even have policies to propose to address the problems that she thinks exist.